Hi, welcome back to J&J Fantasy Flyers. I'm Joey.
And I'm Jason. We're helping you soar above the competition.
Soar above the competition. So here we are with our Week 1 ranking show. Jason, I gotta tell you, this is my favorite time of the year.
Mine too, Joey. Tell you what, I got all my teams ready to go and all my drafts done, and I'm just really excited for tomorrow to come.
Yeah, definitely. Who you got? New England or Kansas City? Who do you think's gonna win?
I hate to say it, man, but I think you got to go New England.
Yeah.
I think they're just the overall favorites going into this year. Doesn't matter who they're playing.
I hear you. I'm gonna root for the Chiefs. Hopefully the Chiefs can pull it off and help the Dolphins out a little bit. That's for sure. Since we don't get to watch them this week because Hurricane, what is it, Irma?
Irma.
Who wants to name their child Irma anyways?
Old bag. Stupid hurricane.
Yeah, killing us. And
Speaking of, get all your Buccaneers and Dolphins out of your lineup this week, and I think we got a few guys coming up here in this episode that will help you make do for this week, losing some of the big players on those teams.
definitely, I know my dynasty team, and I lost Mike Evans. You lost Jay Ajayi.
I have a Jai everywhere.
But I was good because I had a backup wide receiver that I was ready to throw in just so I was to beat Devontae Parker. So now we'll stay tuned and we'll get you into a little bit deeper sleepers here for you for Week 1. So we just want to give you a little rundown as to what we have going on here. Hopefully you guys paid attention to our draft specials and you took advantage of our advice. And you got some of the guys that we had told you to draft and kind of stayed away from some guys that we told you to stay away from. And then that way, it should go pretty smooth for you. And you're on the right path to, soaring above the competition, right, Jay?
Absolutely. The draft season. I mean, you don't win your league at the draft, but you build the foundation. And your week to week is where you do win your leagues.
The waiver wire.
The waiver wire, playing your matchups. Your start sits. And then even your weekly sleepers, you see a guy starting to perform week 1. It could be 3-4 weeks down the road. You pick him up, and he's the next Jordan Howard or somebody.
Yep, yeah, definitely. I remember a long time ago I picked up Mike Sims Walker.
Yeah.
And hey, he won you some weeks, so that's for sure. So just to give you guys a little insight of what we're gonna do here on a weekly basis, we're gonna run down our weekly rankings. They can be visited on our website, jandjfantasyflyers.com. Feel free to visit us. You can check out our full rankings. It's pretty simple, Jay. Just play the guy who's highest on the list. So if you got any questions, that's your best bet, right?
It's pretty straightforward, and there's nothing on there now, but I think in the future we're going to do a flex rankings. When you start getting to the late 20s, 30s, running back receiver zone, you're not sure who to play.
Just kind of to help you, differentiate between like maybe the 35th ranked wide receiver opposed to the 22nd ranked running back and where we're coming from. So as we get, progress further in the year, we'll kind of get a better flex rankings here for you as well. So just kind of let you know, what we're going to do here is we're going to highlight on some of our players that we like. We're not going to laundry list, names for you. It's on our website. Visit it and check it out. So we're just going to go through maybe a couple guys from each position who we like, maybe who we don't like, something along them lines. And then we're going to give you a deep sleeper at each position in case you're in a 2-quarterback league or, you stacked your team with Buccaneers and Dolphins and you're hurting this week. So.
I mean, you're going to need to replace guys like Winston and Evans and Deshaun Jackson and even Jacquizz Rodgers now. I'm sure a lot of people might have
picked him up. He was in my starting lineup.
Ajayi. I mean, there's a lot of guys between the two teams actually that would be in your starting lineup that you're going to need to find some now to replace them for 1 week.
Definitely. So hopefully we give you a little bit of insight, but we're going to dive right into it. We're going to start with our quarterback rankings. Like you said, these rankings can be found on our website. We're going to post a link to our Twitter and to our Facebook. Once again, our Facebook is J&J Fantasy Flyers, and our Twitter is...
It's at Fantasy Flyers.
So definitely check us out. Check out our rankings. And hey, any questions or anything like that, our website is up and fully functional now. You can go ahead and actually message us right on the website. It'll come right to mine and Jason's phone here. And we'll be able to, email you back. And who knows, we're going to put our favorite questions on the next show, right?
Absolutely. You hit us up on our website and give us your questions, and we will definitely put them on the show.
Definitely. So we're going to dive right into this, Jason. Give me one of our quarterbacks that we ranked inside the top 10. Who do you like?
Yeah, well, it's not actually someone I like, but it's actually number 3 in our rankings. It's Cam Newton. And, I can't disagree with Cam as probably being a top 10 rank, and I just feel like he hasn't thrown a whole lot this offseason coming off that shoulder surgery. He hasn't had a real chance to acclimate with his new weapons. You got the new guys, Curtis Samuel, Christian McCaffrey. I think he's got to get back into that rhythm of just playing football.
Yeah, a little rusty, knocked the rust
As
off.
I know he's playing the 49ers, but
It's a sexy pick, that's for sure. I
Yeah.
know I was a little higher on Cam Newton than you were this week, and you know,
I just think not that he's going to hurt him season long. I think maybe week 1, maybe week 2 might trickle over. I think you just might not see Cam at his peak.
gotcha. No, I definitely understand, and you know, it's one of them kind of boom or bust picks as well. I just like his matchup. I think Cam's ready to go. You know, that's why I'm a little higher on him than you. I mean, for me, it's no shocker who I'm going to take, right? That's a guy I love. Who is it, Jay? Who do I love?
It's you've been your boy all offseason is Marcus Mariota.
Marcus Mariota, and I think he hits the ground running here. He's playing the Oakland Raiders defense. I mean, let's be honest. Oakland's got to score 40 points to win. I think it's going to be a shootout, and I think that the Raiders defense are going to focus more on the run game and try to stop DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry, and I think that's going to leave a lot of wide receivers over the top. The linebacking core is not that great for Oakland. I see a shootout. The writing's on the wall. They're going to load the box. Not to mention, Oakland defense last year gave up 98 passes of 15 yards or more last year. I mean, come on. That's fantasy goodness right there if we can both agree on that.
Absolutely.
So going a little bit lower down on our rankings, if you listen to us and you did kind of wait on a quarterback, maybe you might have waited a little bit too long, or you got him right where you wanted. Jason, who do you got?
Well, I mean, I got my guy who I did wait a little too long and ended up with in one league is Carson Palmer, which I don't think is a bad pick. I mean, I think he's going to finish in the top 15 overall, hopefully. But this week he's playing the Lions. I mean, the Lions, it's just not good. I mean, actually, I was reading some up, and I think Matt Stafford is like 4-59 against like teams that made the playoffs the prior year, or had a winning record the prior year. I mean, it's just they're going to try to put 9 in the box, stop David Johnson,
Yeah.
and it's just going to open up the passing game for Palmer. He's going to have his way with the Lions.
I agree, and I think that also, the Carson Palmer pick comes into where we had Larry Fitzgerald ranked. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald's what? I think it was 10, 11?
I think he's top 10 for sure.
That's not bad for a guy that was getting drafted maybe, 5th, 6th round. If you could get, week 1, top 10 talent, then there's a good chance that, if you took, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, or maybe even an Odell Beckham if he stays healthy, that double teaming them guys up, you could have, a pretty strong offensive lineup for the beginning there. With your wide receiver core, and if you did wait on Carson Palmer, maybe you got a bad matchup, or maybe you had Jameis Winston, or God forbid Jay Cutler,
or even Andrew Luck, who's out.
Yeah, Luck, and you just need somebody to kind of fill in this week. I think you could do a lot worse than Carson Palmer.
Absolutely.
My guy is a little bit lower than Carson Palmer on our rankings, actually one spot lower. It's Eli Manning. I don't need to tell you guys that Eli Manning absolutely destroys the Dallas Cowboys. Destroys them. I mean, who are the Dallas Cowboys cornerbacks this year? Oh, Chidobe Nuzue or something?
I don't know. I mean, the Cowboys' defense has been just bad. As good as their offense has been, their defense has been just as bad.
Definitely. I mean, with Zeke coming back, I think a lot of the attention is kind of off of that. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Eli a little bit more if Odell Beckham plays, but even if he doesn't, they still have Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard, Brandon Marshall. I can see Paul Perkins and Shane Vereen getting a big look. I wouldn't say it's out of the realm of possibility that Eli passes for over 400 yards. I definitely could see that. And if you're down, a little bit late, or like you said, you had Jameis Winston as your starter, or even, I mean, if you're in a 2-quarterback league, I don't think that that's a bad idea going with maybe an Eli Manning.
Absolutely not. I think Eli Manning is a solid pick. I mean, he's going to put up numbers. He always has those big games every year where he's going to win the week for you.
Yeah, if he could stay away from the interceptions too, I'm not scared of the Dallas Cowboys defense. Not to mention it's prime time. So primetime game, I like, watching guys, Sunday night, Monday night. I like having them in my lineup just to kind of, rub it into the other guy that I'm playing. So if I still have my quarterback on Sunday night or Monday night, I'm feeling good about it. So that's as well. Just to go a little bit deeper, if in case you are in 2, quarterback leagues, or for some reason, you took Andrew Luck, your drafts were early and you thought he was going to play week 1 and you had Jameis as your backup, I'm thinking Joe Flacco. I think that Joe Flacco is just a lot of volume. I think it's going to be a shootout in Cincinnati as well. A lot of people are kind of down on Flacco because he hasn't played at all. The reports I read today is that he was good to go. I think it's a high volume play with Flacco. And I just think if you're this low, Joe Flacco's a good name there for you.
Absolutely. Just to expand on that a little bit, Joe Flacco's only 11.5% owned in ESPN leagues. So, I mean, if you do need to pick someone up waivers, if you do have Luck or Winston or happen to have Cutler, or I mean, he's a perfect guy that you can probably go on your waiver wire, pick him up, put him on your team, start him. I mean, Perfect is out for the Bengals too with his suspension. Just another note on Flacco is he's an 87% finished at the top 24 last year. I mean, he doesn't have these big weeks, but you know he's a safe play. He's not going to lose a week for you. Let your studs go out there and win the week for you. Don't let your quarterback lose the week.
And let's be honest. Do we really trust any actual running back for the Baltimore Ravens? I mean Joe Flacco led the league in passing attempts last year.
Exactly, and exactly what I was going to say. Aside from Woodhead, who I mean is just going to basically produce because of receptions. I don't think you really trust.
Which has passing yards too. So
yeah, I mean the Ravens have led the league in pass attempts the past 2 years.
Yep.
So I mean it's there. I mean, it wasn't too long ago when he was being drafted as a top quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. He's got the big contract. He's going to show it. I think the shoulder's fine. I think everything's good to go with Flacco. But who we got for a deep sleeper here?
Well, mine here is Brian Hoyer from the 49ers. And again, I think I probably talked to him in one of our previous episodes. He's only 3.3% owned, so he's almost guaranteed to be on your waivers to go pick him up. I mean, he's in the past 3 years, and he's only started 24 games, so injury is a concern for him. But coming into the first week of the season, he's coming in healthy. There's no concern for his injury right now.
And he's looked good in preseason.
As I was getting at, he averaged over the past 3 years, his 24 games, he's averaged just under 300 yards a game, 1.5 touchdowns. Those are solid numbers from somebody you're going to pick up off the waiver wire and throw in your starting lineup. And his best career year has been with Shanahan, who is now his coach at San Francisco. I mean, I would not be surprised if he finishes the season as a top 12 quarterback.
Top 12 is a little high for me on that one.
If he stays healthy and plays a full 16, I would not be surprised. If it's going to happen or not, I mean, I don't know.
I hear you. I mean, if you're this low, you could do worse than Brian Hoyer, I would say. I mean, I would put Tyrod Taylor way down on my list. Josh McCown. I mean, there's a couple of guys that I would move way down. Not to mention, it's not every year that week one you're dealing with the bye week. I mean, you draft your team. If you took an Andrew Luck and Jameis Winston, which we've seen guys that have that going into week one, you could be scrambling. I mean,
yeah, you really could be.
Carolina's going to score points. San Francisco's going to have to try and match it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think there's a couple different sleepers that we could get out of the San Francisco game. Might as well start with Brian Hoyer, the guy who's going to get it all started for him.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I definitely could see that as well. So I mean, that's really our quarterbacks there. Like I said, you guys can check out our rankings anytime on our website, jnjfantasyflyers.com. Also, there will be a link on our Facebook and our Twitter as well. Facebook is jnjfantasyflyers, and then our Twitter is
Fantasy Flyers.
So definitely check us out. I know we've definitely been getting more questions, more messaging. We've had actually a couple more draft pictures of guys' drafts to say, hey, what do you think? Listen, I've seen the one guy's keeper league today. He had his two keepers were Le'Veon Bell and Zeke Elliott, and he got Michael Thomas with his first pick, which was a little bit late. So he's looking pretty good. Definitely, kudos over there to you for that team.
Good team.
And speaking of Bell and Zeke, what running back do you like this week?
Well, my running back in the top 10 of our rankings, and again, it's someone that I'm not necessarily steering clear of, but it's someone that I'm going to be a little wary going in is LaShawn McCoy. And the reason why I say I'm a little wary of these top 10 guys is because they're top 10 guys. You're probably not benching him this week. You're going to put him in there.
But he's playing the Jets.
He's playing the Jets, but Buffalo is just so bad. I mean, I don't know what they're doing in Buffalo. They're getting rid of everybody. I don't even know why they still have McCoy.
They just dropped Jonathan Williams. Who's the backup? Joe Banyard or something?
Tolbert.
Oh, Tolbert.
Tolbert. Who's going to be, he might be a touchdown.
Yeah, he could take some away. I mean, who knows? A lot of people are down on the Jets. Their defense still...
They still have a good defense, and I think that, they're going to just, probably load the box and try to stop McCoy, and that they're not going to let McCoy beat them. And, I wouldn't be surprised if McCoy had a decent game just based on volume alone.
Yeah.
But, if he blows up this week, and, I would definitely try to look to move him. Definitely. I just don't know the direction Buffalo's going in.
Not to mention you had to spend a pretty high draft pick to get LaShawn this year, and I think we're both kind of low on him this week and this year. He's ranked 6th in our rankings. But hey, there's a couple different things. With McCoy, it's the unknown.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of tough to kind of see and picture that as well.
Yes, sir. But anyways, moving on from McCoy, who's your guy there that you're gonna lock in on week 1 for your running back?
I'm gonna be that guy, and I'm gonna say Le'Veon Bell. There's a lot of question marks with him not showing up to training camp. Is he in shape? I know he came out and said that he was a little winded first day of practice. However, they're playing the Cleveland Browns. I heard Bell say today that he is ready for his regular workload, and we all know that that's what I think he averaged 28 touches per game last year. I also think that I don't think he's going to be in Pittsburgh next year, and I could see the Steelers just running him into the ground this year. They're going to get their money's worth out of Le'Veon Bell, and he's playing the Cleveland Browns. I don't think Myles Garrett is playing. It looked like there was some doubt that he might play. With that being said, he's going to torch them. He's going to light them up. Yeah. I can see 150 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I can get behind that pick. It's as much as everyone's talking about the Browns and how they're looking for the future, it's still the Browns, a team that only won one game last year.
Yeah. And not to mention Ben Roethlisberger struggles on the road, which is going to equate to Le'Veon Bell. Yeah. Le'Veon Bell. He's our consensus number 1. I know you're a little bit higher on David Johnson, but you can't go against the matchup. No,
and I'm a little higher on David Johnson. I think season long, but going into week 1.
Yeah, week 1, you can't go wrong with either of the two guys. Okay. Bell and David Johnson are most likely going to be 1 and 2 in our rankings for most weeks. Who knows? They might even be 1 and 2 on their bye weeks. That's how good they are. So, but what about a guy, Jason, a little bit lower down on the list? Who are you kind of liking? Who do you want to talk about a little bit later? From our 11 to 2025 range.
Well, my guy here is 15 in our ranking. It's Christian McCaffrey, and it's the same thing. It's not someone I'm really down on the whole season long, but it kind of goes hand in hand with my Cam Newton theory, and he hasn't just had that much time with Cam. Doesn't have that rapport worked up, and he's a running back, but let's face it, he's really a receiver, and building that rapport with your quarterback as a rookie receiver is very important. You need that time. You need to get the timing down, the rapport. What's he thinking when I'm thinking this? You got to know that, especially as running back coming on the backfield. Sometimes you have those option routes. You guys got to be on the same page. Definitely. And I think it's just going to take a little time. Week 1, they're going to go in. I think maybe they have a couple big plays, and he breaks a 60, 70-yarder, and his game stats don't look that bad, but his really in-game production might not be as good as what that looks like at the end of the game. So it's going to take some time.
I almost think Cam Newton's going to be able to do what he wants, and I don't think Christian McCaffrey's going to be his number 1 target. I think Jonathan Stewart gets a lot of volume this week. Oh, yeah. I think that's going to eat away at Christian McCaffrey. A lot of people are buying into the buzz. I'm not saying that Christian McCaffrey's not a good guy to have, but temper your expectations till maybe week 5, week 6. Let's see what he could do before you just go rush him out there as your running back 1. Even though we've seen a lot of drafts where he was going 4th round, maybe first running back on a team. A lot of people are super duper high on him. Maybe just temper your expectations back. Let's see what his role is, and then kind of go into it. I know you're a little bit lower than I am on our consensus rankings here. I think he's going to catch a little bit more balls. I think he's going to put up decent running back 2 numbers. I think he's going to be up in the upper echelon of running back 2 just because of the matchup. But I think this is going to be one of his best weeks for a while going forward as well. That brings me to mine. I say I'm going to go a little bit lower there on the list. I'm going to go to our 24 ranked running back, and it's Ameer Abdullah. I know everybody says, this, and I believe it too. Where's all this hype coming from with Ameer Abdullah? He did nothing his rookie year with all this hype. Last year he got hurt. However, a lot of people say that Theo Riddick's going to take the PPR downs and he's going to be 3rd down and catching all the balls and this and that. Not for nothing, Ameer Abdullah last year, the first week that he played, had 5 catches for 57 yards and a touchdown. Not to mention his rushing stats. The dude can catch the ball. He caught the ball in college. I think that Ameer Abdullah is going, if he can stay healthy and he continues to stay healthy, I think he's going to carve out a role. And let's face it, we both think that he's a better back than Theo Riddick all around.
Oh yeah, Theo Riddick's not going to punch it up in the inside. Ameer Abdullah is an all-around back. He can do it all. And he doesn't have a injury history. Aside from last year, that's really his only injury. Yeah,
he doesn't have that nagging, Julio Jones foot injury or anything like that.
Yeah, it's a solid pick. I'm not super high on Ameer, But I mean, I'm not going to argue anybody who is because I can see their point.
Definitely, and I mean, if you're down at 24, I mean, chances are, that's if you're in a 12-team league, that's the last of the second running backs.
I would not be completely surprised if he finishes a top 10 back this week.
Yeah, I mean, the Arizona Cardinals defense kind of scares me a little bit.
Absolutely.
But I just think that's kind of a volume play. I think, Abdullah is going to... I could see him scoring a touchdown. Maybe 3 catches, 30 some odd yards, and then I'd say 50, 60 rushing yards. Right there, that's a pretty good game from your RB2. Maybe RB3 in some leagues, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that'll bring me on to my final running back here.
Your deep sleeper?
My deep sleeper. Now, I don't know how deep this one is, but I think he's definitely one of my sleepers, and that's Matt Forte.
Yeah, I mean, he's really not getting drafted this year.
He's not, and I mean, he's coming in, he's fairly healthy coming into week 1, and then he's end of his career, and I mean, they're going to force feed a guy until he's dead. I mean, they got nothing to lose except just feed him the ball until he can't move his legs anymore.
Maybe a little bit of trade bait, too.
Yeah, I mean, and just a couple numbers for you. The last 2 years, last year, 16, and then 2 years before that, 2015, week 1, he has 158 total yards. Week 2, 109 total yards and 3 TDs. And then 2015, 166 total yards and 1 touchdown and 105 total yards. So you're talking the first 2 games of the season the past year, since he's been on the Jets, they fed him the ball, and he ran with it, and he caught it. I mean, he had, I think, over 50 yards receiving in a couple of those games. And it was just, it's going to be the same thing. And then again, it's against Buffalo.
Yeah.
Whose defense isn't that bad, but they've gotten worse from last year. I mean, they gave up one of their best cornerbacks. Their linebacker situation is, I don't know what's going on there anymore. It's not near as good as it was last year or even 2 years ago.
And definitely, I mean, if you're throwing a dart at the board, because, hey, maybe you had Jaquiz Rogers and Jay Ajayi, and
Which
maybe,
is very possible.
I mean, who knows? There's a bunch of different situations you could have had, and maybe you're in a bind. I mean, I know for me, I have to start Robbie Anderson this week because I lost. Who knows what Odell Beckham's going to do, and them guys, and I lost Mike Evans as well. So I mean, there's some stuff happens to where you might have to throw that dart, and by throwing that dart, I mean Matt Forte. I think he's safe to say that he's going to get you 5 catches, maybe 30, 40 yards. I mean, for a guy that's ranked outside of our top 40, you could do a lot worse.
Absolutely.
I think he's safe.
He is safe. I think for week 1 he's safe, and he does, like I said, have the potential to put up 150 total yards and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why you wouldn't take that shot, especially if you're hurting at that position. You need somebody to fill that RB2 slot, or even if you're really hurting at your flex because you happen to have a couple guys from each
Deshaun
team.
Jackson, Devontae Parker. I mean, there's guys that have been drafted for both teams.
Yeah, and there's so many levels. You got your top tier, your middle tier, and bottom tier guys that you could literally be hurting in every single spot, and you need to fill them quick.
Absolutely. No, I agree 110%. That kind of brings me to mind. If I'm this low on my rankings and I'm looking for somebody to start, I tend to stay away from the safe play. I want to hit a home run. I'm not going up there to get a single. Don't get me wrong, it's probably not the right strategy to go with. Safe points are points nonetheless, but I'm going to go boom or bust. There's a guy that I like that I've been standing on the table for, and that's Matt Breida, the running back from San Francisco. Not a lot of people know him. He was undrafted rookie.
Breida.
Yep. And I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, Kyle Shanahan saw something that he liked. They dropped Tim Hightower. Joe Williams is placed on IR. Breida is the number 2 back. I'm not high on Carlos Hyde. Don't get me wrong, Carlos Hyde's first game of the year is usually phenomenal. I don't foresee something happening. But back to our Brian Hoyer thing and the San Francisco's offense, I can see Matt Breida getting some third down work and basically running with it. And who knows, he might break one. I compare Matt Breida this year to Tyreek Hill of last year. That same kind of breakout, this and that. I think Breida takes over eventually. Waiver wire pickup after week 1. Monitor the situation. If you can grab Matt Breida now before he comes the hot ticket, jump on it. You're gonna hear me say this probably week 2, week 3, week 4. Grab some Matt Breida. Do I think he gives you a lot of points this week? Probably not. This is deep sleeper. If we had to rank him, he's probably outside my top 60. But he's number 2. Hyde, I got questions about Hyde. It's not like I'm going to go with James Conner or somebody. I think Bell or the backup to David Johnson. I think you could do worse than Matt Breida as well. But like I said, I'm really looking for maybe a 60-yard touchdown or something crazy along that line.
Absolutely, it's a risky pick, but that's why it's a deep sleeper, and I like your Tyreek Hill comparison.
Yeah, I think that's I don't think he'll put up quite as great numbers as Tyreek Hill, but that kind of athlete.
Yeah, that type of breakout comes out of nowhere.
Definitely. So we're gonna move right along here. We're gonna jump right into our wide receivers and with our rankings here, and this is kind of where it gets kind of sketchy here because Odell Beckham's got injury histories. Mike Evans is on a bye. Jarvis Landry, Devontae Parker. There's going to be some guys that you're going to have to plug some holes that you thought were going to be your week 1 starters, right?
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of that, I'm going to jump right in here. And my guy that I'm talking about is Brandon Cooks. And again, I'm going to be a negative Nelly about our top 10 because, there's no...
If you had, you're starting all the other guys in the league.
Yeah, what else are you going to say? They're top 10, they're plug and play, but, I'm giving you reasons.
If you had to pick one guy that, you can see falter in the top 10, which if you think about it, any guy that's ranked in the top 10, if you have them, you're starting them.
Yeah.
Let's face it. So, I definitely...
Maybe if you want to pair him with a high upside guy to help cover your bases, or someone that's a little safer, maybe.
No, definitely. I can see your argument, with Cooks. Tell us why we're a little bit lower on Cooks than maybe I am this week.
Yeah, obviously Edelman's gone, and he's not going to just jump into the Edelman role that I think maybe a lot of people are thinking. And it's just I don't see a difference from his role when he came from the Saints to the Patriots. I think he's going to be Saints, a high-powered offense with one of the most accurate quarterbacks in NFL history. Breeze, Brady. It's the same role. He's going to have those big weeks where he's going to win it for you. He's going to have those bad weeks where he's going to lose it for you.
Yeah, he's real boomer bust. You found that out last year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was very disappointed. And then not to mention they're playing Kansas City, who has one of the more stout defenses in the league.
Yeah.
I think they're just they're gonna play him good, and they're gonna be looking at Brandon Cooks. And I think Patriots gonna be classic Patriots and beat the Chiefs in a different way. They're gonna find someone else to step up.
Definitely. Not to mention Brady has came out and said that he needs trust with his receivers. I'm sure that they have not built trust yet. Don't get me wrong, I think they look to get Cooks involved early to kind of get his feet wet into the Patriots' way. But
he's got brick hands sometimes,
Yeah, definitely. He's and they got Philip Dorsett there as well.
Philip Dorsett.
I think Chris Hogan is probably the safest play for New England wide receivers.
Yeah.
He's down on the depth chart.
Another year of Malcolm Mitchell. There's just so many guys there, man. I just don't know how you can count on one of them. I almost every year I try to stay away from the situation completely unless someone just falls at such a value that I can't help but take them.
Definitely.
And Brandon Cooks is not that value.
I agree. He could blow it up. However,
exactly. He could catch an 80-yard touchdown bomb.
And there's your week right there.
Exactly.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Out of our top 10, I think Brandon Cooks is maybe that piece that doesn't quite belong. That you can argue maybe a Michael Crabtree, a Des Bryant, a Terrell Pryor, maybe even a DeAndre Hopkins or Stephon Diggs. I like Keenan Allen playing Denver. There's a couple other guys you could probably replace him with, and Brandon Cooks could easily slide down to 20. But it's just it's that the new shiny car that you just want to go out and drive. So it's one of them things to monitor as well. Don't get me wrong. I think his floor is pretty safe. It's not as safe as any of the other top 10 guys, but he's not in our top 3. So going forward, however, my guy Odell Beckham Jr. As well as I do, I got Odell in 3 different leagues, and he dropped because I had the 9th pick in 2 leagues.
He did drop, because of the ankle injury.
Yeah, I had 9 overall, and when Odell Beckham fell to me, I didn't even think twice about it. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, in my Dynasty League, I have Odell Beckham and Mike Evans, and I'm paying for that. If Odell Beckham does not play, it's going to be a tough week. I have Le'Veon Bell, I have Aaron Rodgers, but that's tough to lose, arguably the 2 best Dynasty players for week 1. However, he's playing the Cowboys. Goes back to my Eli Manning thing. They're going to light the Cowboys up. If he does play, he's in your starting lineup. Don't get cute with it. He's playing the Cowboys, like I said. They're horrible. He's going to torch every defensive back, even if he only has 1 ankle. If he's out there on crutches, I'd still play him. Not to mention it's a primetime game. what the catch that made Odell famous was against the Cowboys on a Sunday night. I remember watching it. I think I spilled popcorn when he caught it. And that dude is just ridiculous. I mean, if he's playing, he's in your lineup. Would you agree?
Absolutely. He's starting, put him in.
Definitely. Simple as that. So we're going to slide a little bit lower down on our rankings here. Jay, who you got maybe a little bit later on?
And
Kind of maybe to fill maybe Devontae Parker, Jarvis Landry, Deshaun Jackson spot?
yeah, actually, I had someone in mind already, and I think I'm going to change that right now, is Keenan Allen. And he's 18 for us, and I think I want to switch up my negative Nelly stance here and just go positive for once. And Keenan Allen's someone that I was pretty low on and really unsure about coming in this offseason. And the more I read up on him, the more I watched him, the more I seen his chemistry come back with Phillip Rivers. I mean, I think this guy is he's a phenomenal talent. And yeah, I know he's got that tough Denver D, but I don't think it's going to matter. I mean, the guy just he's so quick off the line. He got the separation. His route running is so precise.
He's the kind of guy that could beat the Denver D.
He is, and he moves all over the field. He's not going to just sit there in one spot, which is what the Denver D is good at guarding. Is someone that plays strictly right
One
side
zone.
or strictly left side. And he's all over the field. And Phillip Rivers he's going to find this guy.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I could easily see him finishing as a top 5 receiver this week, which could be a huge surprise against Denver.
And a lot of people shy away because they hear the name Denver. However, Denver's defense isn't that healthy right now.
It's not that healthy.
They just dropped T.J. Ward. They don't have that thumper over the middle.
Absolutely.
I mean, a lot of people are down on Keenan Allen here. I know when we first started, I was a little bit lower on Keenan Allen than you were this week. That's why he kind of dropped down in our consensus rankings.
Well, I think you still have to build in the risk there of just being Keenan Allen and playing the Denver defense.
Definitely. I think we both say I think the injury history is behind him. He doesn't look to be slowed down at all preseason. It looks like him and Rivers Report still there. I'd feel comfortable betting on Keenan Allen. I was kind of skeptical as first, as Jason had said, and I traded him away in Dynasty. You came around a little bit faster than I did. However, in my last draft, I reached out and grabbed Keenan Allen in the 3rd round. So and it was a late 3rd round too. So I paired him with Odell Beckham. So I definitely hope that you're right on that one. I'm going to go a little bit deeper. I'm going to go with our 30th ranked wide receiver, and that's Pierre Garçon. I think if you're down this low, I think Pierre Garçon could step right into Deshaun Jackson, Devontae Parker, Jarvis Landry's role, where they are in our rankings. I just think in a PPR league, of course, if it's a standard league, I'm a little bit lower on Pierre Garçon, but I think he's a good volume. I think he's going to catch the ball. He's going to, I could see him getting 70, 80, 90 yards and maybe 10 catches. I just think that San Francisco, like we'd said, going back to the Brian Hoyer and the Matt Breida thing, I think San Francisco's going to be behind. They're going to be losing, and Pierre Garçon's going to get some garbage time on that one. But anyways, with the kind of a deep sleeper here, if you are in a pickle, let's say you didn't grab as many wide receivers as you maybe should have in the draft, and maybe you took a quarterback earlier or anything along them lines, who you got, Jay, for a deep sleeper here?
Well, my guy is Ted Ginn Jr. And I mean, just watching them all preseason, I mean, they have plays written up just for him. I mean, he's going to get the end of rounds. He's going to get these short passes where he can take it to the house, and he's going to get the deep balls.
He's going to take Brandon Cook's spot.
He's going to take Brandon Cook's spot, but I think you're going to get him a little more involved, I think, to Brandon Cooks, because I think he's more of a dynamic type of player. I think he can make more happen for himself. And, I mean, with Snead gone, I mean, they're going to need someone to fill that other role a little more. And he's a guy that I can definitely say to put in your lineup 100% in that flex role and just reap the benefits this week of someone that could potentially be a high-end number 2 wide receiver by the end of this week.
You know how they said Jerry Rice used to develop soft hands by catching bricks from his father?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ted Ginn Jr.'s hands are bricks. The dude can't catch the ball. We're both Dolphins fans. I'm sure we remember the game against the Jets where he's wide open down the middle and right out. Dude can't catch the ball. That leads me into my deep sleeper pick. Don't get me wrong, I like Ted Ginn Jr. I think he's a boom or bust. He's going to either get you 100 yards and a touchdown. I don't see him grabbing that many catches. I'm going to stay with the same team, the same game. I'm going to go Brandon Coleman. Don't get me wrong, you probably have never heard Brandon Coleman on any fantasy show anywhere. However, I have Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham plays Sunday night. Okay, I'm sure he's going to be a game time decision. we're not going to know whether or not he's going to start at the 1 o'clock games on Sunday. Okay? You're going to need backup just in case he does not play. My guy's Brandon Coleman. He plays Monday night for the Saints. Willie Snead's gone. Ted Ginn Jr. is kind of over the top. All the coverage is going to be rolling to Michael Thomas. That's who Xavier Rhodes is going to be playing. You guys going to leave Brandon Coleman. I guarantee, I'm standing on a table, that Brandon Coleman catches you a touchdown this week. I know it. I know for a fact that Brandon Coleman's going to get a touchdown. I just feel it. If that's the case, you're shooting this low and you're looking for somebody to replace Beckham. If you can't grab Sterling Shepard, or maybe, if you don't have Stephon Diggs or somebody else, deeper in your lineup, or an Adam Thielen, somebody that you can swap, or even anybody from Denver or San Diego, maybe a Tyrell Williams, I think Brandon Coleman's your guy. I'm sure he's available in all kinds of leagues. Go grab him, just as insurance policy. He's going to catch a touchdown. You heard it here first at J&J Fantasy Flyers. From Joey, not Ted Ginn.
No, I mean, that's pretty bold, but I can't really argue. I mean, anyone that plays on the Saints has potential to blow up any given week.
And Brandon Coleman was a hot ticket, 1-2 years ago?
Yeah.
And he just kind of, there was other people. But, I mean, they got rid of Cooks. They brought in Ted Ginn. We both like Willie Snead, but he's suspended 3 games. Somebody has to step up. I like the uptick that Brandon Coleman has.
All right. Well, fair enough, sir. And to move on from there, I think we're going to tight end, and we're going to talk about some of one of our picks here in the tight end position. And, I hate to do it again to be another negative Nancy, but you know what? I'm not going to change my pick again because I want to stay positive here on this show. And from Hunter Henry, I'm going to go down to Jason Witten, who's number 12. And I'm just going to bump him up. I think he needs to be a little higher. And it's just, it's Jason Witten. Hasn't missed a game in his career. He's going to catch plenty of balls. Probably going to catch you a touchdown. I know that Giants defense is tough. I think they're going to be too worried about stopping the run. They're too worried about Dez.
Zeke coming back playing week 1.
Yeah, they're going to be. Their mind's going to be everywhere else, and then Jason Witten is just going to sit there. And not to mention, Dak really locked on to Witten.
And Witten always plays the Giants tough.
He does. He knows the Giants. He's played them for I think almost 35 years now. He's been playing against them.
Yeah.
So he knows everything about the Giants.
He used to go across the middle against LT.
Yeah. So I think Jason Witten is a solid play. He might not even be drafted in some leagues. I think I've seen. I don't know why.
It's just the old name. There's a lot of sexy young.
Yeah, he doesn't have the upside of some of these young guys, which is.
But he's consistent. He's there, and tight end. If you had Cameron Brate, I don't think Julius Thomas really would have cracked our top 10. We had him ranked down 24th, but hey, if Cameron Brate, he was tough last year, and if that's the case that you had, also, to be honest with you, if you are kind of in a pinch and like see Antonio Gates, he's 1 touchdown away from getting the record. I think he's going to get that record. Philip Rivers is going to try.
And that's kind of my point here. Is Hunter Henry was on my list originally, and now I was going to talk him down because of Gates. And I would probably put Witten in above Hunter Henry, especially just week 1.
Yep.
Maybe the Chargers go out and try to feed Gates the ball and get him that touchdown, and they just let Hunter Henry sit in the background for week 1. And I could definitely see a situation where Jason Witten outperforms him.
And just remember, guys, this is just our week 1 rankings. These are the rankings for this week.
Yes.
We both can agree that we like Hunter Henry more than Jason Witten for the year. Going forward here, that's who we like. Keep Hunter. Don't trade Hunter Henry for Jason Witten, please.
No. And these are all situational things, I'm just saying I could see a situation where he could finish higher. Not that he will.
Follow the rankings. Follow the list. We're a little bit higher or lower on Travis Kelce. I think we're both in agreement with, New England. They lock onto one guy and they take one guy away. I have a good feeling that it is going to be Kelce going forward here. Just follow the rankings.
Yeah.
And this and that. Don't get us wrong. It is a consensus. We have argued, putting these rankings together as to where guys should go, but we came to a consensus here. You will hear us say that I'm a little bit higher, a little bit lower, and we did these rankings on Monday. So, ever since then, there's new stuff that comes out. So you might hear us talk up a guy that we like a little bit more, who's actually going to be my guy, who I was actually a little down on until I really looked into the matchups this week, and that's Delanie Walker. I already talked to you about Marcus Mariota. You don't need me to tell you how much I love the guy. Okay, if he was standing right next to me, man, hey, who knows? I might take him out on a date. I love me some Marcus Mariota this year.
That's a little weird.
And to be perfectly honest with you, I think Delanie Walker against the Raiders, They don't have the linebacking core. I think the middle of the field is going to be wide open. They're going to try and stop the run. A little bit of play action. Delaney Walker on a seam route. He's going to catch some decent traffic. I'm personally projecting him as 6 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown. And out of the tight end spot, I think that's perfect. That's all you can really ask for, unless you got maybe Gronk or Greg Olsen this week. So hey, I mean Delaney Walker against that defense, I think is going to be a high scoring game. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really argue that point. And I'm going to jump in right here, I guess, to my deep sleeper, who I believe is 22 in our tight end rankings. And this is kind of, again, Coby Fleener. I guess that's going back to our wide receivers with the Saints' current situation with Willie Snead being gone. And everyone knows what Coby Fleener can be, what he's done in the past, what he's flashed. You know, he can be a top 10, top 8 tight end. He's got that potential. He can do it with Drew Brees, that offense. And I think this is going to be the week, if not the whole season, that he can put it together and give you one of those top 12, top 10 seasons.
Especially with Snead out. I think with Snead being out, they kind of bumps up Coby Fleener's value.
Absolutely. Definitely for the first 3 weeks with Snead being gone, I think he's worth picking up on your roster. And if you're in a tight spot for a tight end situation, just shoot him in there, play him. If you're in a tight end premium league or 2 tight end league, go ahead and start him. And I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I think he's got a solid floor going into this week with Snead out.
If Coby Fleener blows up this week, do you try to trade him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if he blows up, 80-2 or something like that, even 80-1.
If he's getting a lot of looks, I don't think we both think that they're not going to stick around. And hey, I mean, you might be able to get a little trade bait.
Absolutely. You might as well just turn around and flip him, see what you can get. See if you can get a Martellus Bennett for him or something like that.
Yeah, just a little bit of more value. I mean, maybe, bolster. Chances are you probably took Coby Fleener as your backup.
Yeah.
Tight end. I mean, if you could bolster a different position, by all means.
Package him with someone,
Yep.
A lower tiered wide receiver and get, try to upgrade a receiver position a little bit.
Yep, definitely. I mean, there's different options that you can do. Just be kind of wary of week 1. Don't be afraid to pull that trigger on the trade. I know last year me and you made a trade. Brandon Cooks blew up week 1, and I traded Cooks to you, and then he was kind of hit or miss every year. Don't get me wrong, I took Adrian Peterson back in return for that one. But, hey, Nobody's perfect. I need another running back. So, but don't be afraid to pull that trigger, especially after week 1, because a lot of guys, be careful of that guy who just blows it up.
Yes.
Sell high. Like we have told you, sell high, buy low. Find the guys that you want. Listen to Joey and Jason
here. It's the same thing as preseason. You can't overreact from week 1. Stay tuned. Tune in next week when we can go over some of the, games, the players that blew up and some of the players that stunk. And, we can tell you what to do with those type of performances, who to believe in, who not to believe in, and who just kind of hang on too tight, and who to deal out while you can.
We watch every football game. I mean, we can both say that our DVRs are recording every single game that we have. So we watch every single game. Don't get me wrong. We fast forward through the commercials and we fast forward through halftime.
We do, and we just actually got Game Pass now that we're going to be watching a little more. Which you can watch the condensed version. You watch a whole game, 30 minutes with no commercials.
We watch them all.
You get the all 22 tape, which is the coach's view. You can search players and watch all the runs by that player, all the plays by that player.
So we definitely do our homework, that's for sure. And that's how we soar above the competition. And we're going to pass that out on to you if you don't have the time to put in like we do as well. Just to kind of give you my deep sleeper here, tight end.
Let's get back into that.
Which is another guy that's, I'm kind of really high on, and you guys see me draft him in our Dynasty League. And that's George Kittle. You're going to say who? And to be honest with you, I thought his name was Greg for the longest time. But it's not. It's George.
Killing bits.
And to be perfectly honest with you, George Kittle, he did nothing in college. I think he caught 48 passes over 4 years in his college career. However, I watched his preseason tape. I love George Kittle. They traded Vance McDonald, which, don't get us wrong, we both thought was a sleeper this year. Still going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He could still be, maybe in a better situation. Mm-hmm. But they thought high enough of George Kittle to let him be the starting tight end. And there's nobody else. I couldn't tell you who their backup is. He's a little banged up now. I'm not sure if he's going to start. But if he does and you're deep, or you want to kind of jump ahead of the waiver wire, I think George Kittle is going to break the rookie tight end trend this year. And I think he's going to give you maybe 6-7 touchdowns over the season. And he could fill in, week to week. And if you're down low with your tight end here, throw a dart, hit George Kittle if he starts. I mean, that goes back to the San Francisco 49ers trend They're going to be playing from behind. There's going to be some passing. I can see them getting, some decent value here.
And it pays off huge too. Is beating the trend.
Yep.
Picking that. I mean, I know I've done it a few times with Julius Thomas for his breakout year with the Broncos, and then again with Gary Barnidge with his breakout year with the Browns.
I hit on Jordan Cameron the 1 year. If you can
Cameron,
hit on that late round tight end,
yes.
you could take your number 1 tight end and you could turn them into a pretty good wide receiver.
And it was the same thing with Julius Thomas. I was listening to a podcast and I heard the name guy talk about it, so I did my own little research and I looked into it, and sure enough, everything lined up, so I picked him up, put him on squad. I don't think I played him week 1, but he blew up week 1.
Yeah, he did. So did the whole offense. Peyton Manning scoring 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, so
definitely. The moves that you make now, who knows? Even if you get them on your roster, if they're on your roster, they can't be used against you.
Exactly. It's better to be a week early than a week late.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, another thing here at J&J Fantasy Flyers, we're not going to go over kickers. To be honest with you, if I have to tell you a kicker, it's Will Lutz. My pick for kicker every week is Will Lutz, the New Orleans Saints kicker. I know I've told him 10 times last year. I was like, hey man, check out Will Lutz. Check out Will Lutz. Every time you say, that's a kicker. So, just to tell you guys now, even on Will Lutz's bye week, I'm playing Will Lutz. That's how much I love him. So, if you guys want to know who our kicker rankings are, mine's Will Lutz every week. Jason is just going to pick up somebody that's got a good matchup.
Yeah, play the matchup. Go with the offensive scores a lot. Play somebody that's bad defense. That's your best bet.
Or pick up the trick kicker from the Chargers now, who's doing backflips and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Don't pick up Roberto Aguayo. You just
guy.
cut him in 2 weeks after he misses it.
Just like all the other teams. The Bears just cut him, so.
Yeah, I know.
However, we are going to talk, when we talk about our defenses, it's going to be our stream of the week. Because I think me and you both agree to, we wait for defenses till the absolute last pick, and we stream from week to week. So, Jason, who do you like as a stream option this week?
My stream option this week, and some people might be surprised, but it's the Rams D. And the reason why you might be surprised is how's that a stream is because there's only 28.7% owned in ESPN leagues. That means only 28% of people have them on their teams. That's kind of ridiculous to me. I believe the Rams D is a top 5 defense, if not definitely a top 10 defense.
Well, Phillips is there now and all that.
It's a solid D, and they got Wade Phillips, and the track record he has with defenses and just turning them around is phenomenal.
Not to mention, who's the quarterback that they're going up against this week? Scott Tolzien.
Yeah,
it's
kind of juicy. And the number 1 stat for defense, the number 1 scoring stat for defenses is sacks.
Yeah, definitely. It's the most reliable. Not to mention, Scott Tolzien, I don't think, has ever won a game that he started. And to be perfectly honest with you, in our fantasy football drafts, I took the Rams because of this matchup. So I'm definitely on board with you 110%. I think they are going to be a good option going forward. However, we stream defenses. Everybody does it.
Stream them, and who knows? You might wind up keeping the whole year and playing them every week.
Yeah, definitely. You never know who's going to break out. But neither one of us are going to be that guy that drafts the Seahawks or the Denver Broncos in the 10th, 11th round.
No.
We're grabbing value. So that's why we bring you the stream options. To be honest with you, Jay beat me to the punch on the Rams. That's my defense. I got them in four out of my 5 leagues. But to be honest with you, the other defense that I'm starting this week is the Los Angeles Chargers now.
Yeah.
No longer in San Diego. I like Joey Bosa. Their bookend defensive ends are tough. They're going to put a lot of pressure on the opposing quarterback. They're playing. They're on fire right now. The defense throughout the preseason, both corners are healthy. The one guy led the league in interceptions last year, and he's I can't think of his name right now. I'm drawing a blank on
Flowers?
No, not Flowers. It's right on one side, and there's another guy on the other side. But they're playing Denver. It's a late game. I like playing the Monday night matchups.
Simeon looked horrible this preseason.
Yeah,
he looked Brock Osweiler level horrible.
And not to mention, there is buzz. Casey Hayward is the corner I'm trying to think of.
Okay.
So, and he that dude he's an interception machine. And to be honest with you, there's so much buzz around the LA Chargers.
They did have a lot of pick sixes last year, I feel like.
And to be perfectly honest with you, I like the Chargers defense. I like them a lot. I think they're going to be, pretty great going here forward. And hey, they're playing Denver. They're the last game Monday night. Who knows? And like I said, I like having 1 or 2 players left going into, Sunday night, Monday night. just so I can kind of stick it to the other guy. So definitely.
And as a quick side note to that, the ESPN scoring changes now. When a defense scores, it does not count against your DST.
Yeah, so if you throw a pick six, if you have the San Diego Chargers and Phillip Rivers throws a pick six, that doesn't count against your points allowed.
Yes, because usually just however many points were scored counts against your defense. It's no longer like that. They don't count the points scored by defense or special teams.
Absolutely.
So special teams would, defense doesn't.
Yeah, correct. So that's our week 1 rankings. You can definitely check out our rankings on our website, J&J, spelled out JANDJ, fantasyflyers.com. Or check us out on Facebook at J&J Fantasy Flyers or on Twitter
at Fantasy Flyers.
We'll have a link to our website posted. Check us out. We definitely want to appreciate the love and everything that we got on Facebook. We're growing and growing every day. And hey, like I said, our website is up and going here. Definitely give us a try and try out that comment section. We love to hear your guys' emails and everything. And like I said, we're gonna pick some of our favorites and put them on the air as well coming next week.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give you guys an insight of what's going on. Next week, every week we're going to get together either Monday night, watch the Monday Night Football games together. And Tuesday we're going to shoot our new episodes. We're going to have like a little ad drop section, just a little bit of guys that you can, add and guys that you should drop, just a little bit of insight on that. And to be honest with you, it's all going to be on our website. So any questions, anything like that, you guys know how to get a hold of us, right, Jay?
Absolutely. And we'll constantly be posting on Twitter and Facebook any new episodes we have out, and always keep an eye open for our little
premium play of the week.
Premium play of the week, and we're gonna try to do some other little snippets, little video snippets. We'll give you a quick 30-second, tips and tricks for the week, or guys you might want to pick up and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna try to just overfill your brain with information for fantasy football on a weekly basis.
And that's why you guys tune in. You guys want to, soar above the competition, and that's what we're going to do here for you. I can tell you, look forward to our premium play of the week. We both have one that we both like that we did not talk about today because we want to get a little bit more in-depth on them. Other than that, I'm Joey from J&J Fantasy Flyers.
And I'm Jason. We're helping you soar above the competition.
Soar above the competition. You guys have yourself a great night.